Europe and Russia are possibly going to cancel the collaborative missions that they had planned for the year. Why? We will tell you in today's video. Two of the world's major space agencies are now in conflicting positions due to the ongoing war. What was the mission that had to be postponed? How will this affect the two space agencies? Stick around to the end to find out all about it. The European Space Agency, along with the Russian space agency Roscosmos, had made a decision to collaborate on launching Europe's first ever Mars Rover. However, due to the war between Russia and Ukraine, officials from Europe have said that the $1.4 billion mission is highly unlikely that the mission will launch in 2022. So let us first understand about the Mars Rover. The Rosalind Franklin Rover, formerly known as the Exomars rover, is a planned robotic Mars rover being developed by the ESA and the Russian Roscosmos State Corporation as part of the International Exomars Initiative. It is named after Rosalind Franklin, a British scientist. The mission was originally set to be launched in July 2020, but it was pushed back to 2022, and with the recent postponement, no further dates have been revealed. The plan asks for a Russian launch vehicle, an ESA carrier model, and a Russian lander named Kazachok to deliver the rover to Mars' surface. The solar-powered rover would begin a 7-month mission to look for previous life on Mars after it had successfully landed. By March 2013, the spacecraft was on track to launch in 2018 and settle on Mars in early 2019. The launch had to be postponed due to delays in European and Russian industrial activities and supplies of research payloads. ESA confirmed in May 2016 that the mission had been rescheduled for July 2020, the next available launch window. ExoMars funding, as well as lessons learned from the ExoMars 2016 Schiaparelli mission, which failed during its atmospheric entry and parachute drop, were discussed at ESA ministerial meetings in December 2016. Due to parachute testing concerns, ESA postponed the launch to August-October 2022 in March 2020. This was eventually revised to a 12-day launch window beginning September 20th and ending October 1st, 2022. To achieve its science goals, the ExoMars mission required the rover to be capable of moving across Martian terrain. After landing, the rover is expected to operate for at least 7 months and drive 4 kilometers. The ground controllers will not actively be able to direct the rover across the surface since the rover interacts with them via the ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter, which only flies over the rover about twice per sol. As a result, the Rosalind Franklin rover is designed to navigate the Martian terrain on its own. 2 stereo camera pairs enable the rover to create a 3D map of the landscape, which is then used by the navigation software to assess the area around the rover in order to avoid obstacles and determine an efficient route to the ground controller's chosen destination. The future of a $1.4 billion mission to explore Mars has been cast into doubt as a result of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, with the European Space Agency now calling the launch very unlikely. The rover was supposed to launch in September on a Russian rocket from Baikonur, Kazakhstan. Following a meeting of ESA member states on February 28th, the organization stated that the economic sanctions imposed by Western nations on Russia, as well as the larger context of the war, make a launch in 2022 implausible. Josef Aschbacher, the Director General of the European Space Agency, will now assess the mission's possibilities for the future. The ExoMars mission plans to deliver Rosalind Franklin. It comes with a drill that can identify any traces of organic life buried far below the surface. This is the 3rd time the mission has been delayed from its intended 2018 launch date. Each delay generates rising costs. ESA said it deplored the human casualties and tragic consequences of the war in Ukraine in a statement announcing the possible delay and that its actions took into account not only its staff but also European values. Hang on a second. If you have managed to make it to this part of the video, we would like to thank you. Make sure to extend your support by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Now, let's continue. Paul Byrne, a planetary scientist at Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri, who is not participating in the effort, believes avoiding flying the ExoMars rover on a Russian rocket is the morally proper thing to do. He claims that the delay will be difficult for the planetary science community. He says that the next launch chance will be in November 2024. For scientists who have been working on this project for almost a decade, that's a long time to wait. Early career researchers who rely on its data will be impacted the most. Scientists may have to change the mission to fly on a different rocket in order to continue it. If problems occur there, burn continues, then perhaps the project as a whole will be cancelled. A cancellation would be a setback for the ESA's planetary exploration mission, which is producing fantastic results about our solar system. If it is not launched this year, it will never be launched, says Lev Zeleny, science advisor and former president of the Russian Academy of Sciences Space Research Institute in Moscow, as well as a member of the expedition. Zeleny believes that the ESA's intentions are understandable, but that the conclusion is the incorrect one. Many European countries' scientists, engineers, and technicians, not to mention Russians, will have their efforts wasted. It would be tough for ESA to cut Russia out of the project totally. Although, in principle, Europe built the rover and Russia built the descent module and landing platform. ESA project scientist Jorge Vago told Nature in 2016 that there is no clear line between the two teams' duties. In terms of interfaces, Exomars 2022 is unprecedentedly complicated, says Oleg Koroblev, a member of the Exomars partnership at the Space Research Institute. It would take more than 2 years to adapt the craft to use a NASA landing mechanism, he adds. The Ukraine conflict and Russian sanctions have already harmed other space science collaborations. Roscosmos withdrew its employees from ESA's main spaceport in Kourou, French Guiana, on February 26, thereby ending launches using Russian Soyuz rockets, which ESA uses for medium-sized launches such as satellites for its Galileo navigation system. The European Space Agency said it would look into whether future payloads may be launched on other rockets such as the Vega C or Ariane 6, both of which are slated to fly for the first time later this year. Sanctions may potentially have an impact on Roscosmos' upcoming Luna missions to the Moon. Luna 25, which is scheduled to launch in July, will receive an ESA landing camera, while Luna 27, which will examine the composition of soil near the lunar South Pole, will receive a navigation system, drill, and mini laboratory. A representative for the European Space Agency declined to comment on how the conflict would affect these plans. As countries continue to cut ties with Russia in research, there may be a greater split in space exploration between Western nations and a China-Russia partnership. Dmitry Rogozin, the Director General of Roscosmos, declared on YouTube on February 26 that in face of the sanctions, Russia will purchase any microelectronics it requires for spacecraft from China. According to China's 5-year space plan, the two countries intend to work on a number of future projects, including the construction of a human base on the Moon.